In April 2025, on the Yukon Business Hall of Fame stage, one story stood taller than the rest. From a house with no electricity to a $650 to $700 million empire, she built 16 companies across healthcare, retail, and real estate. Some say she even owns half an island. From rural St. Elizabeth to Wall Street to Mogul, the climb was steep, the wins undeniable. Proof that hard starts can still win. But is she really Jamaica's richest black wife? And how does she run it all without breaking? Picture Red Hills condos at sunset. Picture a Portland Beach home at dawn. Picture a pharmacy warehouse humming by noon. If you dream of generational wealth, this playbook is your roadmap. We'll follow the money. We'll chart the moves. We'll break down the mindset that built it. From cash flows to risk shields. From ownership webs to giving back big. Stay to the end to hear the one simple rule that keeps 16 companies, prime real estate, and massive charity running smoothly. This is the bow she's earned, at last. She was born in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, a place with no electricity, no running water. Every day began with carrying buckets from the standpipe. At 13, she landed in Hartford, Connecticut. A new country, a new life. By 1999, she had earned a Yukon scholarship and graduated BA in hand. From carrying water to carrying straight-A hopes in less than a decade. Then came Wall Street. A young black female stockbroker in the late 90s was a rare sight. The pace was fast. The rooms were sharp. The stakes were higher. It was like stepping from a dirt road straight into the fast lane. But she didn't stay just to sell stocks. She watched, she listened, she studied how companies really make money, and she took notes. Savings were tight. The pressure was heavy. First-generation success meant breaking into a city that guarded its gates. Still, she tracked every dollar in a notebook. Long before budgeting apps existed, every coffee, every rent check, every risk worth taking. Those pages became her first playbook, the one that taught her how to turn income into ownership, the one that whispered that the broker's desk was just a starting line, the kind of discipline that makes the richest black wife claim more than gossip. It makes it possible. So how did she take that Wall Street hustle and flip it into her first real company? By 2005, she saw a gap. Hospitals were begging for talent, nurses, specialists, staff to keep the lights on and the wards open. She built the bridge. A company called the Association of Medical Recruiters. No safety net, no backup plan, just belief and phones that wouldn't stop ringing. In the first year, she pulled in $800,000, not in theory, not in projections, in cash contracts, moving people into roles they were desperate to fill. It was like being the matchmaker when everyone in the room needed a partner now. But then something shifted. The calls changed. Hospitals wanted more than just people. They wanted equipment, they wanted meds, they wanted logistics, and she realized if she didn't step up, someone else would. The safe move. Stop at one big win. The smart move. Build a system that could solve every problem a client had. But growth has a cost. Founders burnout versus once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Sleep lost to paperwork. Weekends lost to travel. And yet, the momentum wouldn't stop. Some of her biggest early contracts closed not in glass towers, but over coffee on a Saturday morning. No suits, no slides, just solutions on a napkin and a handshake. The recruiter had turned into something else entirely, a problem solver for an entire industry. So what happens when a recruiter starts solving every other problem too? By 2011, she stopped thinking like a recruiter. She started thinking vertical. That meant owning every link in the chain. First came Bailey's medical equipment and supplies. Then, in 2014, Bailey's Pharmacy. After that, Bailey Scrubs. Now she wasn't just placing people. She was equipping them, dressing them, stocking the meds they needed to save lives. The calls came in from nurses, from families, from patients. Some were orders, some were thanks, some were pure relief. Those voices kept her pushing through 18-hour days. This wasn't one business anymore. It was a stack, 16 companies strong, revenue in the hundreds of millions. Like building roads, gas stations, and cars, not just driving one. She became the supplier her first company had always needed. The demand was huge. The contracts got bigger, but so did the risk. More contracts meant more inventory. More inventory meant more money on the line. Margins were thin. Speed was everything. One delay, one shortage, one wrong shipment could burn 6 figures overnight. But she kept scaling. Even the warehouses spoke her mindset. Labels with motivational quotes printed on the back, hidden until you peeled them. Because every box shipped carried not just products, but a piece of her drive. The healthcare empire was now real. The money was serious. The systems were in place. But the question remained, where's the big money moat? By 2016, the healthcare empire was running. Now she wanted something solid, something you could touch, something no stock dip or contract loss could erase. She started stacking real estate. Red Hills luxury condos, worth $6 to $8 million. A Portland beach home, roughly $3 million. A $20 to $25 million resort. Commercial properties in Florida. And whispered among insiders, half an island. It wasn't just for show. For her, land felt like safety. The safety she never had as a kid with no electricity and no running water. The portfolio spread across Jamaica and the US, tied to markets she already knew, tourism and healthcare. As those sectors grew, so did the values. It was like putting every business win into a piggy bank that paid her rent every month. But here's the twist. The real estate wasn't just investment, it was infrastructure, housing staff, hosting partners, holding brand events. The buildings fed the brands, and the brands fed the buildings. Of course, the bigger the assets, the bigger the targets. Critics asked questions. Security teams stayed busy. She balanced visibility with privacy, never fully letting the public see the whole map. Even her resort designs echoed her other world. Layouts inspired by hospital workflow, fast, clean, efficient. Now the foundation was unshakable. The empire could take a hit and still stand. And with that stability, one question came next. How do you give back at scale? By 2023, the empire was stable. Now she could turn the same discipline that built it toward giving. She didn't just write checks. She ran philanthropy-like operations. Over $10 million to the University of Connecticut, funding an 80,000 square foot student-athlete success center, the largest athletic gift in school history. More than 270 scholarships for Caribbean students. STEM programs in Kingston getting computers, labs, and mentors. Every move traced back to her own story. The no electricity childhood that made her want to switch lights on for others. Recognition followed. Onyx Woman of the Year in 2023. Inducted into the Yukon Business Hall of Fame in 2025. But for her, the titles were just headlines. The work was the point. It was like building a ladder and leaving it in place so others could climb. Then came the twist. Giving back also gave forward. Scholarships uncovered future engineers, nurses, and business leaders, many of whom ended up working in her companies. It was a two-way lift. Lives improved and talent pipelines filled. Of course, the more she gave, the more people expected. Every public gift sparked calls for the next one. Praise came with pressure. She didn't ignore it. She just kept moving, letter by letter. Personally answering scholarship thank yous with handwritten notes, not email, ink, paper. Her message, I see you. And with her impact laid out, one final question loomed. Is she really Jamaica's richest black wife? By 2024, the whispers had turned into headlines. Business journals, Caribbean press, even US finance blogs. They all called her Jamaica's richest black wife. The case, a $650 to $700 million fortune spread across 16 companies, prime real estate, and brand deals that crossed oceans, healthcare, retail, resorts, Florida commercial sites, a portfolio like an engine room, multiple pistons firing, each one able to keep the ship moving if another slowed. For her, the label was noise. Labels don't run companies, systems do. She knew the parts that paid the bills weren't the flashy headlines. Yes, the Rolls-Royce, the Ferrari, the island properties made for beautiful photographs. But execution, that was the fuel. Her multi-sector revenue streams kept cash flowing year-round. Her US and Jamaica holdings balanced currency risk. Her high-value resort projects hedged against slow retail months. Every piece was placed with intention, and yet, with the crown came scrutiny. Every big move was examined, questioned, debated. Applause was followed by analysis. Praise was followed by pressure. She didn't flinch. Inside her office, the calendar was her compass. Color-coded for money days, hard revenue work, and mission days. Philanthropy, mentoring, community. Two worlds, both essential. The crown could stay or go. Her systems would keep running. Still, One question lingered outside her walls. How does she keep 16 companies, big real estate, and massive giving running without burning out? 16 companies, hundreds of staff, multiple countries. From the outside, it looks impossible to keep steady. Inside, it's team of teams. Each business lane has its own COO, the captain for that ship. Every Monday, they deliver weekly scorecards. Every month, cash cycles are closed and compared. Every quarter, roll-ups show exactly where the empire is gaining or leaking. It's not a suggestion, it's a ritual. She protects focus time the way other people protect vacations. No calls, no drop-ins, just deep work on the parts only she can do. Batch hiring keeps recruitment tight. Supplier pools keep materials flowing no matter the season. Multi-state warehousing gives her room to pivot if one site slows. And decisions? Most are made in a same-day window. Slow approval is the enemy. It's like running 16 kitchens with one master recipe book. Even her philanthropy is scheduled like a product line. Clear goals. Real KP is. Teams assigned. Progress tracked. Because giving without structure burns out just as fast as selling without systems. But the more scale she builds, the more moving parts she must keep in sync. Speed fights with compliance. Growth tests culture. So, every Monday starts the same way. A 10-minute one-win round across all teams. It's a reminder. Celebrate progress. Then get back to work. The structure holds. The rhythm keeps chaos from creeping in. Still, there's one simple rule that ties it all together. And that's the rule she says anyone in any business can use. Care, scale, circle back. That's the rule. 3 words that built a $650 to $700 million empire and keep it growing. First, she solves real pain. In 2005, it was hospitals desperate for staff. She launched Association of Medical Recruiters. That's care. Then she scales the fix. By 2011, she's selling medical equipment. By 2014, she's filling prescriptions in her own pharmacies. When the solution works, she makes it bigger, faster, and harder to copy. Finally, she circles back. The profits feed scholarships, centers, programs, each aimed at the same communities that fueled her rise. In 2023, she's named Onyx Woman of the Year. In 2025, she's on the Yukon Business Hall of Fame stage after giving $10 million plus for an 80,000 square foot student athlete success center. Then she does it again. Recruiters, supplies pharmacy, scholarship centers, repeat. The girl who grew up without electricity now builds power for others, literally and figuratively. It's like planting fruit trees and using the harvest to plant more. And here's the twist. In her world, philanthropy isn't the finish line. It's the flywheel that spins the next business, the next solution, the next loop. Each round moves faster. Each round reaches further. Critics see the Rolls-Royce and the condos. Operators see a feedback loop that never stops. Her team calls it the CSC cycle, and it's the one rule she swears by. Solve something worth solving. Make it so strong it stands without you. Then send the winnings back where they matter most. Repeat until the loop outlives you. The crown isn't luck. It's a loop. One she can run again and again, and make bigger each time. The care, scale, circle back cycle is not just a motto, it's the engine. Every company, every building, every scholarship traces back to that loop. And here's the twist. What some call luxury, she calls infrastructure. A condo in Red Hills can house partners for deal-making. A beach home in Portland can host strategy retreats. The flash is actually part of the machine. The lesson is simple, but brutal in its discipline. Solve pain first, scale second, then give in ways that create more solvers, not more dependents. From a dark farmhouse in St. Elizabeth to lighting up stadiums, centers, and scholarships, the emotional arc is staggering. But to her, April 2025, the Yukon Hall of Fame moment wasn't a final bow. It was just another spin of the flywheel. The echo of the hook is clear. The real headline isn't that she made it. It's that she built a way to make it again, and again, and again. And now the question lands in your lap. If the loop works for building empires, could it work for building yours? Which piece could you start this week? Finding the pain, scaling a fix, or circling back to plant the next seed? Because the loop only stops when you do. She didn't just get rich. She built roots, marked, paved, and tested, so others could follow. The headlines may call her Jamaica's richest black wife, but she knows titles fade. Systems keep paying. Her loop, Care, scale, circle back isn't trapped in boardrooms or balance sheets. It can live anywhere, in a shop, in a school, in your phone. The empire is proof. The path is the gift. And now you've seen the blueprint. From barefoot in St. Elizabeth to boardrooms in 2 countries, the map is real and it works. Subscribe for more true wealth playbooks from the Caribbean and beyond, where the story isn't just about making money. It's about keeping it moving. Now it's your turn. If you had $1 million to start, would you put it into care, finding the problem, scale, building the system, or circle back, giving to fuel the next answer? And why?